baby. I was downstairs. Your work is pretty spectacular, as people will see from the illustrations and all that. 2004, young Bob, you started the business. Had it been on your mind a bit before that? Had you thought about this? Because it's a big operation.
Yeah, we thought about it for a little bit before that. It was actually 2004, and it was on the week of the birth of our second child. So it was fantastic timing at home, to be quite honest.
I could do a little bit of stress and time-consuming work here, if that's all right.
we went straight into it at the deep end. I suppose we were caught in a position where we were involved with O'Hagan Design, and we were working on other formats. And then we decided to get into the pure manufacture side of things and design element of it as well. So that sort of gave us our own freedom to work with other clients and direct clients ourselves. So well, of course, that was a huge bonus. You're
very well established in 1,000,001 magazines, Ideal Home, House and Home. You've been on television, Design Doctors. You've certainly got a huge amount of recognition now. Did that take a long time? Was that a hard road? Or?
It did, yeah. You have to put your mark out there and then let the press come and get you and sort of go in from that side of it. You can spend as much as you want on advertising across the board, but I always find that a journalist coming looking for you to do an article is always a nicer side of things. Now we do advertise as well, but at the same time, if they come looking for you, it's a nice angle to have it from.
Well, it usually means it's a sort of a validation of they absolutely recognise that this is good stuff, as opposed to you're paying them to tell them it's good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it's coming from both sides. Now you do have to advertise as well, and go down that route too.
But I should ask too, with obviously the family have always had this sort of fairly hard work. Besides Pat, now everybody's kind of a hard worker and they sort of dedicate themselves.
Most of the time. Pat likes fishing and sailing.
That's
for sure.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
But was that in the? I don't know if it was something within the family already, or that you kind of got influenced by somebody in particular, or?
No, I think it was just through school. To be quite honest, if you go back to the early days, there would have been Jackie Clancy down in St David's, and he would have sort of encouraged me from an early age. To be quite honest, like you're talking first year, second year, and he really pushed me into it. And it was something that I liked, so that was always one of my favourite subjects. The rest of the subjects probably got the back seat because of it, to be quite honest. But there you go, we take it from there, and you get your roots in early, and you get into the manufacturing side of things. Even in school, like it was always a pleasure to turn something around and make something out of nothing or something out of very little. So I still get that job satisfaction, to be quite honest, and I think the guys that work here do as well. There's a good team of us now. There's 5 of us here, and we're full slog.
Yeah, well, you're a busy man, and I would think, like it's whatever about the creative side of it, which is a wonderful feeling of being able to just design and figure out what fits best for a particular room and a particular person. But physically, it's huge as well. Like it's not like you're dealing with miniature pianos here or little tiny.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a workload to it, but I suppose that's a good thing that'll keep you fit as well.
Well, do you think Siobhan now would play with a motorbike after we did the interview?
I think that's actually somebody with the console getting some concrete outside and next shop over, so hopefully go away.
I just saw Siobhan with her bike. I thought maybe she's gone for a spin already. The old wheelie, she loves the wheelies.
That's the Honda 50 for you, Paul. That's the Honda 50. Always a love of Siobhan's.
But that side of it, the physical side, I just had a quick look around, and it is a big operation. Of course it has to be, because it's not, it is the scale that you're dealing with is big to begin with. That must be, I don't know whether that was a shock when you really got into it on full scale in 2004, or whether you knew this already and it's all part of it.
I suppose you just get into it and you go with the flow. There's no point in sort of hampering back once you're in the flow of the whole situation. So I think you can just get used to it, and that's the job. Sometimes it wears you out. You're tired going home, you eat your dinner and you sleep well, but at the same time, that's the gig, So I think the design element as well, so it is broken up in that you won't spend 5 days of one particular week doing all manual labour. It will be design, meetings, clients.
Yeah. And when the jigsaw all comes together, it's a lovely feeling, I think. Like when you've done all that prep work, and then the physical work, and then the installation, but the meeting of all those elements in the finished product must be a very satisfying.
For sure, and meeting clients as well. It's always nice to have a chat with people and just go through their requirements and find that out, and for a customer to turn around at the end of the day and be satisfied with the job. I think that's what we're all after, to be quite honest. And when that's achieved, hopefully 9 times out of 10, you can't please everybody all the time, but when that's achieved 9 times out of 10, I think it's a good feeling, to be quite honest, for sure.
And that, I suppose, in the way that architecture have heroes, and there's certain people who are influencers and kind of iconic. I mean, would you have sort of had that feeling about certain designers? Would you have had certain kind of periods of time you thought, well, that was a beautiful...
Of course, I suppose working with O'Hagan's years ago, we were opened up to many different sort of very high-end designers worldwide, from Eero Saarinen all the way to Eames, and I grew a love of collecting chairs, believe it or not. And I have a lovely selection of chairs at home that we collected along the route, and that was always my passion, was just to see the actual format, design, the polypropylene chair from Vernon Panton all the way through, and just get a little bit of background knowledge into their manufacturing process as well.
Right.
All the way through to Harry Bertoya, who did a fantastic stool under the study of Charles and Ray Eames back in the States, I suppose back in around 1954, 1956. So from that I grew a lot of respect for people that could manufacture something all the way from the design process. To design is one thing, but to design, put into manufacture, and have an end user product that is a validated workpiece is another story altogether. So, and it's that coming together of the artistic, but the practical is the key to it. It has to sort of do what it's supposed to do, and you can be beautiful and all that, but if you keep hitting your head off the same shelf, you think, no, this design doesn't work for me. Exactly, yeah. So that would be a major part for me, that each element of furniture has to work for each client, and each client will have specific needs. So that's the way we try and work with it, that will be brought in by the architect perhaps. We'll work with the client, get the client's feedback on our proposals. They'll put their own input, the architect will put their input if the architect's involved in that case, and then we'll move forward with that. So there's always a good sort of onslaught of meetings before the fact, and then we get stuck into manufacturing and the process. I should finish up by saying that if I go to a friend's house and somebody's playing Nickelback, I find it very difficult to settle and be relaxed. When you go to people's houses, I'm sure you must notice the design. I don't know if it's ever been difficult for you to say, holy moly, look at this kitchen, it's upside down. Yeah, there's always going to be one room that's harder to work with than others. Some will flow. I suppose some people have a good design outlook on what a room should look like, and was given that sort of talent, I suppose, if you want to call it that, from a young age, that I was able to read a room when you walk into it. Whether the client likes that or not is another thing now, but I suppose if you put your interpretation on it, put their requirements, mix it all in a big pot, and end up with something that works for everybody, I think that's the end goal, to be quite honest, Paul. But on a social level though, say you're going over to Mick and Mary's for dinner and you look around and say, oh, I can't eat in this room, sorry. Sometimes you have to just sit back and enjoy the grub. Preferably a barbecue. Let's the sun shining down. I know it's right, but let's go outside for this. And maybe that's why I love the barbecue so much, because it's outside the kitchen zone, and it's just a little bit of fresh air. There's no work involved. Away from all the dust and the lifting panels, inside the kitchen, and you're not sort of second guessing people's kitchens either. So get a bit of flame going, get the steaks on, the chicken on, and maybe a cold beer. That's always the way.